Hi guys, it's Angela from Panda Kisses, and I am here to do a tutorial for you guys for Parker and the Porch's cool cowboy zipper bag inspired by Buzz Lightyear, so it'll be super cute. Let's get started. Our first step is to go ahead and do the placement stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do the placement stitch directly on my tearaway. This is one sheet of tearaway. This is my 5x7 hoop. I'm making the 5x5 bag. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Guys, this is what your placement stitches look like. It's time to place our zipper now. You'll notice that there's these two guides right here, that your zipper should go between these two lines. And this center line right here, if you line your zipper teeth up next to that, you will have perfect placement of your zipper. So I'm going to use this red zipper right here. The only thing you need to decide is if you want to open your zipper this direction, you place the zipper pull on this side. If you want it to open from the other direction, then place it on this side. I like to go this way, so I'm going to place mine this way. And I lined mine up between these two. And then you can go ahead and tape either side if you like, or you can hold it. I hold it, but the next step's going to go ahead and place these lines on either side of your zipper, tacking it down to your stabilizer. So go ahead and stitch the next step, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. Here's our zipper tacked down to our stabilizer. We're going to start working with the fabric now, depending on what you're using. I'm going to show you what I'm using. It kind of shows you both ways because my liner is fabric and my outside of my bag is most of it's vinyl, so it kind of shows you how to measure both ways. When I do a bag, I go ahead and get my ruler and I put it right at my zipper line, because your first piece of fabric is going to be down here. So I go ahead and put my ruler at my zipper and I measure down. This is right at 4 inches this direction, and I'm using vinyl, so that's a true measurement. So when I do my bag, I go ahead and write a little sticky note once I measure. So this just stands for front, bottom right here, front, top, whole front. You need those 3 pieces for the outside of your bag. And then if you're doing liner, you need those 3 pieces again for the inside liner. So this stands for liner, front, bottom, liner, front, top, liner, whole front. So these are just my measurements. Now and then I keep this, so the next time I make a 5x5 bag, I do not have to remeasure my bag. I know what the dimensions are and what I need depending on if I'm doing vinyl or if I'm doing fabric. These would be the measurements. So I keep that as a cheat for me. On this bag, I went ahead and measured, so I have this right here, so you'd measure from here to here. Now vinyl doesn't fray, so that's a true measurement. Now the other measurement, I'm going to use fabric up here, up on this top. And so I go ahead, anytime I use a woven fabric, this is woven cotton fabric, you need a clean edge. This fabric frays, so you can't just put an edge of fabric next to the zipper. You have to go ahead and get a clean edge. So when I do it, I do a true double. So this measured a little bigger than 1. So I cut a piece of fabric 2 inches and then I folded it over, ironed it, and that's what I will put right here. I do a true double. You don't have to do a double. You could go ahead and measure like 1.5 or something, and then you could take this little edge and fold it over really thin, iron it, and then you could use that as your edge and measure less fabric. I do a true double. It's just the way I do it. Now also, if I use fabric on the outside of my bag, I also use lightweight fusible interfacing. So let me show you what that looks like. I use this. This is Pellin. I use lightweight fusible interfacing. This just gives your fabric more texture. If you this tends to be really thin and it gets wrinkly on the outside of a bag, this tends to give it more substance. So what you do, there's like a glue side to it. It's kind of a rough side. You take the rough side, you put it on the wrong side of your fabric, so you can see I have it right here on the inside, and then you iron it on, and then it's fused to there, and it gives your fabric like a more structure basically. So anyways, I'm going to be using this here. So I measured this, I measured this. Now you need, for the back of your bag, you need this whole section. You need this by this. So this is 5x5. So you need a little bigger than 5 by a little bigger by 5. I'm using vinyl, so I went ahead and measured that, and I have that right here. So I am all set for the outside of my bag. Now I also need liner for the inside of my bag. So I'm going to go, like I said, I use this woven fabric. So here's another piece. This does not have the fusible interfacing in it. I do not do it for the inside of my bag. Only the outside do I use the interfacing. So this is just a true 2 inches. I folded it over, I ironed, so that will be there for our liner. This was a little bigger than 4, so I measured a little bigger than 8 inches, and then I fold it over, and I'm gonna put it right here. Now this is a circumstance, like I used 8 inches of fabric. You could have got away, like this was 5, you could have got away with, like, you know, less than that, like 6 or 5, I mean, since that was 5. So you could have gone like that. So I'm wasting a lot of this fabric, but I like to do a true double, so that's just what I do. And then I have a piece of my liner that can just go over at the end. So you have 3 pieces of liner, and you have 3 pieces for the outside of your bag. So you have 6 pieces of fabric that we have prepped. Now I showed you how to do it. Here's my cheat sheet. I suggest you do that on your bag so you don't have to measure every single time. The other tip I wanted to show you is I make the 5x7 fabric bags all the time. And since I make that bag so much, I made a template out of like cardstock, and I just put what the measurements are. This is for true doubling, so you know, you can measure yourself, but this is my true doubling. And so when I make one of those bags, I just have to take this and put it on my fabric, and I can cut around it really fast and cut around. I don't even need a ruler or anything, and cut around here. And then you would do the liner too. So you'd have to cut these 6 pieces. So you'd have to cut this twice, this twice, this twice. Once with the outside fabric, once with the liner fabric. But this is really handy if you make a certain bag size all the time. These templates are really cool. And then I just put them together, and I put a clip on it, and I can hang it, and I can grab it whenever I'm ready for it. So that's just a tip of something I do. The other thing on this bag, and this is an option, you can do, there's a placement stitch to go ahead and do like a bandana hanging off of the edge of your bag. So I'm just going to show you what I did. And there was like 3 ways. There's probably other ways to do it, but I'm just going to show you really quick. I'm not going to go through it. You can have the choice of just doing your fabric and nothing hanging off of the bag. But if you want something that's hanging off of the bag for a bandana, I'm going to show you 3 ways you can do this. One, all I did was take, say for like this, I took my fabric. This requires a sewing machine, so it's just totally an option. So I took my fabric, I folded it this direction, wrong or right sides together. I went ahead for one of the options, I sewed this direction, and then I sewed all the way down. And if you sew all that, it kind of makes like a tube. And then I turned through the hole right here, so I turned it inside out through the hole once it was sewed. And then I ended up with this. This is like a tube. You can see once you turn it inside out, this is the hole, but this is like a tube, and the edges are all sealed and ready to go. So one of the options, when we get to this point, you can get this sewn in there, and then you can tie this in a knot right here on the edge, and it will be a cute little knot coming off of the side of the bag for like a bandana tie. So that's one option. I'm not going to use this, I just did it to show you, but that's one option. The other option is you can go ahead and do the same method. You get the fabric, however long you want to make it, but you take the fabric, you go like this again, and then I took my sewing machine and I sewed at like a curved edge, and I curved and sewed all the way to the middle, and then I took a little this side and I sewed with the curve this way, and I left a hole right here in the middle. And then I turned it from the hole right there, like this. So I had a hole right here, and I have points. You see how I have points on either side now? It's curved instead of like a straight square, like this one's a square. And then I went ahead and just sewed on top to sew the hole. Now, the way to place this one, we'll get there. I'm going to place this one, so I'll show you. But this you would fold in half, and then when we get to this step, you would put this fabric on here, and then you could tie these 2 together, so it's going to be more like this with 2 points hanging off of the bag. This is which one I'm going to do, so I'll show you that. The other option, there's the option of doing nothing as well, so it would just be pretty colors. But then there's another option. You can just skip that step, and I'll show you where it is. There's another option, and I couldn't do this one because the fabric I bought didn't really have anything on the back and it would look pretty bad. But you could sew just the edges all the way down, all the way around, so you have clean edges like that. And then when you place it, you could just place it like this, so it just hangs off like that, and you wouldn't have to tie anything. So this is a cute option as well, and probably the easiest. But when you're looking for fabric, you might want to buy like a true bandana, because the bandana already has the sewed over edges, and then the underneath is like a red color. It doesn't look like wrong side of fabric like mine does. So that's a cool option too when you're shopping. If you want to do this, you make sure to look for that if you'd rather just do this option where it just hangs off the edge. Okay, so moving on. That's how you prep fabric. I'll show you this part when we get to it, but I just wanted to let you know that's how I prepped the fabric. Okay, we're going to go over to the machine and we're going to start putting this bag together. Okay, I am on my machine. We're going to do the next step, which is step 3, and you can see that it's to place the bottom top fabric. I am doing that in this pretty vinyl, so I'm going to put it right next to my zipper line right here. You can put it anywhere just as long as it goes above that stitch line, this yellow stitch line, because that's where it's going to catch. I put mine all the way against the zipper just because I don't want to miss that stitch line, and it also makes both sides look even if you put it right next to the zipper. Okay, so I'm around all my placement lines down here. I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 3, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like. It went ahead and tacked down our front to our stabilizer. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing but place this top fabric. Now I'm using fabric for this one. I'm going to use this. Remember, I went ahead. I need to find the one that had the fusible interfacing in it. This one does. So I'm going to go ahead and place this clean edge right next to my zipper, like that. And then I'm going to change my thread to red because I don't want to see yellow stitched on here. So I'm going to do red thread, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 4. And I'll come back and show you. Okay, guys, it went ahead and tacked that fabric down, as you can see. So our next step is going to be to do a placement step for the vest of the cowboy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm doing that in white. And then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. It looks like that's your placement. That means you need to get whatever fabric you're going to use bigger than that size. So I'm going to go ahead and put these down. And I'm actually going to do one at a time. They're going to stitch together. But as soon as this one's done, the foot moves, and it always is going to pick this up. So once the foot moves, I can either stop my machine or I can just scoot this one under it out after it moved. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this one, and then I'll get that one down right after. Okay, I'm going to stitch it. I'll come back and show you. Okay, guys, this is what it looks like. They're both tacked down. So now I'm going to use my applique scissors, and I'm going to cut any of the areas that are going to have satin stitches around it. I'm going to leave the areas that kind of go off the bag, because if you cut those too close, when you flip the bag, it can tear out of the seam of the bag, and you don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this top part because it's going to have satin stitches up here. Okay. I'm going to cut down here. And I'm just getting as close as I can without cutting my stitches. And this is fluidity vinyl, so it's a little thicker. My scissors are kind of getting dull too. So I'm going to cut across this one, same thing. Okay, so now I'm just going to look and clean up anything that's not close enough, but it looks like I got really close all the way around. Okay, so that's how I'm going to cut it, just like that. Now I'm going to bring it back over to my machine, and I'll show you what we're stitching next. Okay, we're back on our machine, and we're going to go ahead and do this really cool cow detail over the vest. So I'm going to go ahead and change to black and go ahead and stitch that, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Guys, there's that cow print detail that it went ahead and did. We're going to move on to the next step, which is going to do the satin stitches around the vest. So I changed my thread to this silvery color, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and I'll come back and show you. Guys, there's that satin stitching roping around the vest. We're going to do the buttons next. So this is the inside of the button. I'm going to keep it gray, and then the silvery gray that I have in there. So I'm going to stitch it, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the next step, which is 10, and I'm going to stitch the outside of the button. It's going to be a thicker satiny stitch, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it the same color, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. Just like this V for the shirt. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that red, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is what we look like. These are all our details. So our details are done. So we're going to go ahead and flip the bag now, and we're going to be doing our liner. So this is the underneath of your hoop. We're going to go ahead and do this bottom piece first. So there's the zipper lines to show you where to place it. So you have the zipper lines right here and right there. So you want to do this line right here. See that right under there, the V? That line is your zipper line. You need to go ahead, I'm going to make it with marker real quick to show you. That's where the teeth of your zipper are, and that's where you're going to open your bag through. So I'm going to go ahead and place my fabric right below that. So I already have it folded and I have my clean edge. You're going to go ahead and put it right under that stitch line, and then I'm just going to take regular tape and I'm just going to tape it down so it stays there. Okay, a couple more pieces just so it stays when we flip our hoop back over. Okay, now I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to stitch our next step. Our next step is going to go ahead and go all the way around this bag, and it's going to basically attach your liner to your bag. So I'm going to go stitch that, and I'll come right back and show you what it looks like. Okay, it went ahead and stitched. You can see that the stitch line went around, and now this is attached to the front of the bag. So now we're going to go ahead and do the next piece of liner, which is this top side, and you're just going to do that right above that stitch line. Okay, so you're just going to tape that down. Tape it up here so it stays taut. I'll do one more. Okay, now we're going to go back to our machine and we're going to do the next step, which is step 13. It's just going to go ahead and stitch around this placement stitch line, attaching your fabric right here, your liner, to the front of your bag. So I'm going to go stitch that and I'll come right back. Okay guys, we are at the part where we're going to add the front of the bag, or the back of the bag, to the front of the bag. So this is where you're going to go ahead and open your zipper. So I'm going to open this zipper up. You're going to open it as far as you can without going over your other stitch lines over here, because it's still going to enclose the bag, and your foot of your machine's going to go around this. You want your zipper pull on the inside of your bag, but you want it far enough over that you can turn your bag through the zipper, but you don't want it to go too far. You want your foot of your machine to still be able to pass this without hitting your zipper pull. So right about there is good. So this is where you add things to your bag. You open your zipper and you add whatever you want to add to your bag. So a lot of people add, see if I can find it. My desk is kind of a mess, but a lot of people add these D lobster clasps to their zipper bag. They take fold over elastic. They go ahead and place it. This lets you like hang them from backpacks and different things like that. Usually I put mine like right here. You're going to want to go ahead and put your hardware on the inside. Whatever you keep goes on the inside of your bag. Good rule of thumb is you're always going to cut the outside of your bag. So if you had it on the outside, it would cut it off. So always put the stuff you want to keep on the inside, but you can place this anywhere along the stitch line, and that's where it's going to get sandwiched into your bag, and that's where it will be. I'm not going to add this, but I just wanted to show you. I'm going to add a pen, so I'm going to go ahead and see about how tight I want to make this. You want to make it kind of snug, but not too snug, because it also stretches, so you'll be okay. Probably going to make it about like that. Oops, I have rubber on this pen. Okay, so there's a loop right there. I want the loop to be on the inside of my bag, and I'm going to put it like right about there. Okay. There we go. So then I'm just going to take some tape and I'm going to tape it down. Okay. So I have my zipper open. I have the things I want added to my bag. Now I'm going to take you back over to the machine. Normally we would just go ahead and place the back of your bag on the front of your bag, right sides together. But we're going to add this handkerchief thing. There's a step in here that does a little placement right here for this. We're going to place this, and it's going to go on the inside of your bag like this first because you don't want it to get cut off. It's going to kind of go like that, and it's going to stitch a line holding it down, and then we'll put the back of our bag on. So I'm going to bring you over to the machine to show you how to add this little piece if you want. If you're not adding this piece, then I'll show you how to skip it as well. So I'm going to bring you to the machine, and I'll show you that. Okay, guys, we are back on my machine. So I'm going to show you if you want to skip this step. You could just stitch it. It's not going to matter. It's step 14 right there. It's just a little line. If you're not going to add this, it's fine. You could just keep it like it is and then it wouldn't have it on it. You can either just stitch it because it's just a line and it's not going to show, or you can skip it. I'm going to show you how to skip it. You can always get control of your machine right here with this plus right here, the needle with the plus and minus. You push that. And then it gives you control of your machine. Then all of these needles with the plus and minuses, that jumps that many stitches forward or backwards within your step 14. If you want to skip the step altogether, we want to skip step 14 up here. This is what I'm talking about. You have 14 to 17 left. If you want to skip that step, you use these spools. This step's forward, this step's backwards. So if you press that, it goes to the next step, which the first one's the placement, this one's the tack down, so, and that's 15. So if you do it again, so you would jump 2 steps and you'd go to 16. Now this step is where you'd put the back of your bag face down over your bag and then you would stitch. I'm actually going to add this step and I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to jump back 2 steps. I'm going to go back to 14. There you go. I'm going to do the placement step and I'm going to show you. I'm going to let the machine run. Normally I don't let the machine run because it's just loud and annoying and just takes time and I don't think you need to see it run. But this is going to be hard to see where it starts and where it stops because I'm still using the red and it's going to go on the red right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it and that shows you your placement of this. So I'm going to go ahead and start and you can see that it's stitching right there and it's stitching over your zipper right there. Okay, so that's where we're going to want to place it. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm probably going to just show you kind of and then I'm going to go do it because I'm going to need 2 hands. But you're going to take this, fold it in half. We already sewed all this. I showed you kind of how I made this. Fold it in half. Now you're going to do the side you want to keep on the inside, you're going to want to keep it. And I'm just going to kind of fold this up. I'm going to bunch it a little bit like this. I'm going to place it on that tack down line like this. I'm probably going to tape it a little bit so it's easier to go over. Or I'll do water stabilizer, the plastic over it, just so my foot can go over it easily. And then I'm going to run the tack down and it's just going to do one more line right over that. And then it will be held in place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and I'll come right back and show you what it looks like tacked down. Okay, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. I went ahead and put the water stabilizer over. It's just plastic that holds it down. I just didn't want my foot ripping this out because it's bulky. And I just have it kind of taped from the top and just sitting there. I just need it to sit there in place long enough for it to do this next tack down stitch, which is step 15. So I'm going to go ahead and run it and I will come back and show you that it tacked it down right there. It has some stitching over there. It doesn't have to be completely perfect because we're going to put the bag on, the back of the bag on next, and then it's going to stitch some more. So I'm going to go ahead and take all this tape and stuff off. I'm going to move my hands. There's no way to do this pretty easy. So I'm going to take this tape and stuff off, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then we're going to put the back of the bag. It's just like a plastic. It just holds it down so your foot doesn't move this and it could stay all bunched up. Okay, so I am going to do the next step. The next step is to go ahead and put the back of the bag right here, right sides together. Make sure it's going over all your stitch lines. Mine goes this way. You're going to put it on the back of the bag. Just make sure you make it go over everything. Okay? Your zipper's open. Make sure your zipper's open. I'm going to make sure this is all the way in my bag. And then you're going to go ahead and run the next step, step 16. It's going to stitch that bag closed. So I will come back and show you. Okay guys, that's what the bag looks like. It went ahead and sealed the bag up. Now we're going to go ahead and do the very last step for stitching. We're going to put the liner on. You want right sides together. Make sure you cover all of these stitch lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do right sides together. You want a little extra down here because we're going to be closing the bag by gluing it. Okay, I'm just gonna take my tape and tape it. I'm gonna stitch our last step and then I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, yay, we're officially done stitching. There's the front of the hoop, the back of the hoop. This leaves a hole down here. It stitches all the way around but leaves this hole right here so we can flip through that spot. So you can take your project off the hoop. Okay, and then I'm going to take all the stabilizer off. Looks like a big blob of fabric, huh? It's kind of interesting that it makes such a cute thing in the end. Okay, so I watch for a few things when I'm cutting. You are going to want to start. You do not want to cut all this fabric off over here on the back because you need these two pieces of fabric to close your bag. We're going to be gluing it in the end, so you want to cut off everything but this extra fabric. And I really didn't leave very much there, so it's going to be a pain gluing it, okay? So I'm going to cut off this extra vinyl because we don't want this bulky vinyl right where you're closing the bag down there. So I'm going to just get this fabric out of the way. And I'm going to cut without cutting the stitch lines. I'm just going to cut this vinyl off. And I'm going to try to get pretty close without cutting any of the stitch lines. Because you don't want this bulky vinyl at the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to cut that way. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut around the bag. I cut at an angle right to the stitch right here, so I go like this. Okay, and then I turn, and you can cut everything else around the bag off. You just want to keep the fabric at the bottom over here where the hole is. Okay, so you're gonna want pretty bulky scissors because there is a lot of vinyl going on here, and I have thick vinyl. This is not thin vinyl at all. Okay. This project, these tiny bags, this is 5x5. This would actually be way better with canvas vinyl. I used marine glitter vinyl because it was really my only good yellow I had, so I went with it. But it's going to be harder to turn because it's thicker vinyl. And there's spots that have multiple layers of vinyl, so we will watch me do it. I did a couple others of these and it had this vinyl, so we'll see if it does as well as I did with the other ones. It's going to be hard to glue this one. I'll show you why. I'll show you why you wanted more fabric right here. This one's pretty, this is about what size fabric you want. It just looks better. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn through this hole. This is what we're doing next. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning. And this is just woven fabric, so I would watch. It can tear right here really, really easy. We're gluing down here, so usually we can kind of fix it with glue. But I would try to tear as little as possible. Just getting a little more of the vinyl off. Okay, I'm going to just start turning. And there's no like great way of doing it. It's really just start getting some of it through. I always kind of start with one side of the bag. If I can get one side of the bag through, then it makes it easier to pull the whole bag through. So I'm just going to try to get this corner through up here first. Okay. Oops, tore a little bit, but I'll show you what tore. It sounded like it tore. So then This is really easy to turn if you were using felt, or it's really not that bad either if you're using a bigger bag, like say you were doing the 6x6 size. I made the 6x6 size, so I'll show you the difference. That one's a little bigger and this isn't such a small hole. And it's, if you're not lining it, you only have to turn it once, which is through this zipper hole, which is much bigger. It's much easier to turn the second time. Okay, you don't have to make this perfect because we're just gonna glue this bottom first and then we're gonna turn again. All right, so part of it ripped, but that's all right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that corner out. Okay, so you can do a couple things, and this is why I say, you see how you have this much fabric? It's much better than just this much fabric because you're gonna turn this over and sandwich it, and that's how you're gonna close it. But we will make it work. Okay, so let me get my Wonder clips, and then I'm gonna use this fabric tack glue right here. It's their fabric tack. This is a really cool glue. It's clear, it goes on quick, easy, and it dries within 3 to 5 minutes. I'm just bringing it down, it's way up here. So, and then it's really easy to use. I'm just gonna set that upside down so it comes down, and I'm gonna start clipping first anyways. So I'm gonna flip this over. You can see you have a stitch line right here. And I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to flip this over, and you're going to sandwich the two together and glue it. And then that's going to create the bottom of your bag. Okay. I'm actually going to do a little bit more of this and put it over the top of this since I tore. Okay, there you go. There's that part. I'm going to flip this over. I'm actually going to glue it like this. Okay. You see I'm taking this other one and I'm gluing over. That's because I don't have as much on the other side, but it will look really nice. Okay. Put that under. Put that over a little bit. Right there. I got one more. Okay. So normally if I have the same amount of fabric on both sides, I just sandwich it together and have them both. But this, I'm going to take this side and glue it over so it'll just look all sealed. It will look really good. Okay, so I'm going to take the glue. I'm going to open it up. I'm just going to take this excess off that's dried. Okay, and I'm going to just start opening it. I'm going to open two since it's folded over. Now I'm just going to fold that back. I'm going to put some glue on that edge, just like on the very top of the bag and the edge. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to fold it back over like that, and I'm going to wipe any excess off. I'm going to put the clips back on so it can dry. It dries really fast. Make sure that's in the right place, okay? So then I'm going to unclip the next section. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put glue down in there. I'm going to fold it back over like that. And I'm going to put the clip on. It's really fast, really easy. Same thing all the way across. Just going to put some right there. Get this fabric over the other fabric. Okay. So we are done gluing. I'm going to let that sit. You can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to let that sit 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll flip the other side of the bag. I'm also, while it's gluing, I'm going to clean the bag up. You see right here where this open your zipper if it's not open yet. I'm going to take all this stabilizer off between the two things, and I'm also going to take off, there's tack downs or placement stitch right here. This was for your zipper placement. I'm going to take that, you pull it, and just pull it off, okay? So just clean up your edge right here, the stabilizer between your front and the back of your zipper or your bag, and let that dry. Then I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and finish our bag. It's all glued and dry, so I'm going to pull these off. You can see that it went ahead and dried. It's not coming off. It's completely sealed. This is on the bottom inside of your bag, so it's completely fine. Okay, so I went ahead and took that, cleaned this up. I took the stabilizers off. So now we're going to flip through this zipper. So I'm going to just pull that out, do the corners. And it's a little easier to flip this part of the bag because the hole's a little bigger. And I just kind of push through. Like I said again, my vinyl is marine vinyl and it's multiple layers. This has 3 layers of that vinyl because you have the top too. So it takes a little bit on this 5x5 size, but you can see that I'm doing it. This takes a little pushing, a little pulling. And this vinyl, this yellow vinyl, sticks to itself, so it makes it a little harder. Okay, but it can be done. It just gets easier as the size of the bag gets bigger. Okay, I'm going to push this through with my hands. Okay, we are pretty much through. Get this corner out. Okay, now I'm going to use my little turn tool right here. You could use a chopstick, you could use the end of a pencil like the eraser. Try to do it kind of gently. You don't want to poke all the way through your fabric and your stitch lines by pushing too hard to get these corners out. So just be a little gentle, but it helps to get these out. I'm going to push it all the way through. Okay, I think we are done. Let me shape it. Get the zipper on. Here's the pen holder. My office is a mess, okay? Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you what it's like before I tie it. So here's the front. Super cute. Here's the back. You can open it up and you can see that there's no stitches. You can't see the back of the stitches. You can't see any seams, so completely enclosed. And then we're going to zip this up, and now you could leave it like this if you want. I'm going to tie it into like a cute little knot. So let me just get it here and tie it. Now here's the other thing. I didn't tell you what size to make this fabric. Look how, oh my god, look how cute that is. I didn't tell you what size to make this. All I really did when I measured it, I don't like to tell sizes because everybody likes something different, and it really didn't matter. All I did is I eyeballed it. I went ahead and folded this, and then I folded it again in half. And then I kind of went like that to see how long I would want it to stick out on my bag. And I didn't really tell you a size because this is a 5x5. It's going to be different for the 6x6. It's going to be different for a 7x7. And I only made this bag. I didn't make all of them. So I couldn't really tell you what size to make this. But anyways, I would rather just show you how to make it and then you can determine it. So what I did, like I said, I folded it in half, I folded it in half again, and I just eyeballed. And if that didn't look, this looks like it might be a little short, then I went ahead and I didn't cut it yet, then I just made it a little longer, and that's how I determined how to make it. So hopefully this tutorial helps you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps you make this, and I can't wait to see all of your guys' bags. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like it. I make videos all the time to try to help you guys get through these projects. And if you have any questions, post your questions there. I'm going to show you, you put a little pen right here now too. Let me show you the pen. So the pen just sits right there. What I think is really cute with this size, this is 5x5. What I think is cute with this bag is you can go ahead and put a pen on here. You can open it, and then sticky notes fit in here really perfectly. So you go ahead and put a thing of sticky notes in there. You go ahead and close it up, and you can give that to your kid. You can keep it in your purse, so when you're at a store or something boring, your kid you pull it out and give it to your kid to draw, make little notes. Super fun. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see what scissors I use and stabilizer and all that stuff, go ahead and go to the See More under this video, and it has all my links right there. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.